Hi, everybody. It's Alicia Lowen, owner of Deximal Accounting Inc., coming to you again on a special episode of Tax Tips Tuesday. And so I wanted to take just a few minutes to go through a new grant for British Columbia employers. So if you are a business owner that employs people in BC, this grant could be for you to help you out with your finances if you either hired new employees during the last quarter of 2020, so between October, December of 2020, or if you increased the wages paid to your employees during that quarter. I'm going to go through the details for you with a calculation example today. So if you don't have any employees, unfortunately, this grant is not going to be applicable for you. Or if you had to reduce pay, like had to lay someone off, then it's not going to be applicable. So it's just for increased payroll when comparing October to December of 2020 as compared to the previous quarter, July to September of 2020. So I'm going to go jump to a screen share here. So it's called the BC Increased Employment Incentive. And so this is a tax credit for employers in BC. You've got a very long deadline. So I'm coming to you now. It's just the end of April 2021. You've got all the way through until December. So if you want to take some time later in the year to apply for this, then you can. Now, I'm not sure at this point if it's going to open up for other quarters. Right now, it's just for one quarter, which is payroll that you paid during October to December of 2020. It's possible, as all of these COVID-19 financial support programs have been going, it's possible that it's going to get extended, and then it could be for another quarter as well. So definitely keep an eye on the news for that. So we are comparing our base period of July 1st to September 30th. It's important to note that this is not going to get in the way of you claiming CEWS. So remember that if you are eligible for Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy, that would be on the basis of reduced revenue. So if your business is now having lower sales than compared to pre-COVID times, that's what you can get the CEWS wage subsidy for. This one, the British Columbia Increased Employment Incentive, does not require reduced revenue from the employer. So if your business has been doing great, congratulations, well done. I'm sure you've been working hard, and maybe you've hired more people to help, or maybe you have given any of your employees a raise. This is the grant for you. So it says that eligibility, it can be individuals or corporations. So that's good news for sole proprietorships or partnerships that are not incorporated companies. So you're not Inc. or LTD, but you do have employees. So you do have a payroll number and you are paying wages. We're not talking about subcontractors. If you are a business that hires subcontractors, you're not going to be eligible for this funding. And the rest of this, I think, is not going to be all that interesting. So let's just skip to the end. The credit that you can get is 15% of the increased remuneration, which just means pay, wages. So what we have to do is calculate the increase and then multiply that by 15%. Now, this part's a little tricky, so I'm going to go through an example. They do give us a spreadsheet to use. I was doing this myself yesterday, and I did not find it all that helpful of a spreadsheet, but hopefully if we walk through it here together, then if you're trying to fill in this application on your own, then you'll find this video to be helpful. I love the CEWS calculator that CRA built on their website because it's so easy to use. That's a different program, of course, than this one. I'm just lamenting the fact that they have not created an online calculator for this, because it would be so nice to be able to just plug in your info and have a calculator do that part for you. Unfortunately, for the BC Increased Employment Incentive, there is not an online calculator, so you are forced to do the calculations yourself. Again, this is only for British Columbia companies. So if you're in a different province, this is not going to be applicable, although your provincial government may have a program for you as well. So, okay, let's run straight through to how to apply. So, if you already have a provincial sales tax account, which not everybody does because not every business needs to have a PST number. That's a question for another day or another video. And the employer health tax is only going to be for employers that have over $500,000 in payroll. So, not a lot of small business owners are going to have this employer health tax number. So if you don't have either of those things, you can just go right here to apply without an eTax BC logon. That eTax BC website is where we file the provincial sales tax remittances for our clients or the employer health tax ones. So you can file that yourself if you have an eTax BC account. If you're not having either of these programs, you won't have an eTax BC. There's no point in setting one up. So just go through this button here. You can apply for the credit without creating an account. That's the easiest way to do it. Okay, and then they're going to let you know about your application, blah, 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 get your payment. You will put at the end of the application, you'll put in your direct deposit info for your business bank account. And then if you're approved for this, then you would get that deposit within 5 business days, it's saying. Okay, so we need to go to the calculation examples. And this is what I was going through and then felt like it would really be beneficial to create a how-to video for this. They give a spreadsheet, which you can download from this site. I've got it right here. And I've put in an example already. So now the important thing that I want to make clear is this program, as well as the other ones like the CEWS wage subsidy, they're all based on when the wages were actually earned and not when the wages were paid out. This makes it a little more difficult for us to calculate as the accountants and bookkeepers who are helping you, or as yourself, the business owner, trying to calculate this yourself. Because when we process payroll in any kind of accounting software, it's going to show up in your books on the pay date. And so if you are looking in a program like QuickBooks Online, which is what we use for all of our clients, you're going to see in your payroll summary report pay dates, and that's not what this program is for. It needs to be not the date that the check was paid, but when the wages were actually earned. So I was reading through these calculation examples. Hopefully this will make more sense once I go through an example, because they're saying here what you need to do is prorate the partial weeks. And most people who don't love math do not love prorating wages. So hopefully, if you're a client of Deximal, of course, we can do this for you with your payroll service. And if you are not, then I would contact your bookkeeper or accountant to help you with this calculation if you don't feel comfortable doing it yourself. But what you're going to do is you're going to look at the first partial week in July, which is 4 out of 7 days, and the last partial week in September, again, 4 out of 7 days. And so if you take a salary employee, for example, here they have this based on 12 full weeks. So the salary employee was employed the entire time from July 1st to September 30th. Their weekly wages was 1129.33. So they had 12 full weeks at that rate, plus another 4 out of 7 days for the beginning of July, plus another 4 out of 7 days for the end of September. So I wouldn't look at, you can look at the pay stubs, but what you're not going to do is run a payroll report from July 1st to September 30th and just take that total and plunk it in, because it's not going to be the right calculation. You need to look at when did the employee work and what did they earn during their working hours from July 1st to September 30th. Because what happens in reality is, maybe your payroll cutoff is September 27th, and then those wages might get paid out on October 3rd. And so then in your bookkeeping, that amount is going to show up on October 3rd, but it's going to include part of the end of September. And then the next check that would be paid out in mid-October actually has a few days from the end of September within that pay. So that's what we're talking about here, the difference between when the wages were actually earned and when they were paid out, which is the point that they're going to show up in your payroll records. So you do need to be careful with this calculation. Let's take an easy example of somebody who earns $1,000 a week, which is $52,000 per year. So if you have an employee and they're earning a salary of $52,000 per year, that equals $1,000 per week. And that is what I filled in here. So we've got the person's social insurance number. This is the spreadsheet that they have available on the government website, and you can download it and then fill it in. We're going to select biweekly pay. If you're using a different one, you select what your pay frequency is. And then this is from July 1st to September 30th. So in this cell here, you can see down here is my formula. So I've got $1,000 a week for 12 weeks. That's that middle part of the portion, plus $1,000 a week plus 4 out of 7 days. Multiplied by 4 out of 7 days. That's what prorates it. That's the beginning of July. And then $1,000 a week times 4 out of 7 days. That is the end of September. And that is going to equal this 13,142 is the total wages or remuneration that the employee earned during this quarter. Okay, next one is the eligible remuneration. This is just if somebody has higher than the maximum amount, then their entire pay won't be eligible. And I'm just going to bring that up because the eligible amount is the 1129.33, which is a maximum. So basically you can't pay somebody, maybe even yourself, if you're the owner of the corporation, you pay yourself $80,000 a year as a salary. You are an employee and you could be included in this calculation. There, I didn't read anything that says that you can't. But this amount, 58,725, is the maximum salary or wages per year that the employee could be earning. So it says, if I just take this 1129.33 times 52 weeks is 58,725. So if an employee earns more than that, you're going to have to limit it to that amount. That's the highest that you can claim on this subsidy. So in my example, the employee earns 52,000, so they are below. So their entire earnings here, their total BC remuneration is eligible. So the entire amount I put into eligible remuneration. Are you with me so far? I hope so. Then our next period is October to December. And so this is hopefully the time that you will have increased it. Now remember, if you kept the person's salary the same for this entire time, it is not worth going through these calculations. You're not going to get anything. This is only for employers who have increased the wages of their employees. And it could even just be of one individual employee, and then that's the only person that you include on this subsidy. Or you've hired a new person, because then those person's wages will be in the last quarter of the year where they weren't included in the earlier quarter, or maybe they started working partway through. So for example, if somebody started on August 1st, then their wages in this quarter would be less than the second quarter, the qualifying period. Okay, in this example of the salary employee who earns 52,000 per year, I'm using an example where we've increased their salary partway through the qualifying period. So I've got $1,000 a week. The first couple days of October that need to be prorated are 2 out of 5 days. So $1,000 times 2 out of 5 plus $1,000 times 2 weeks. So what I'm doing with this example is I'm saying, let's pretend that I increase this person's salary by $100 per week partway through this time. So I had 2 out of the 12 weeks in the middle of this qualifying period, $1,000. And then the remaining 10 weeks, I paid this person $1,100. So I did 2 weeks at 1,000 plus 10 weeks at 1,100. And then they're still getting 1,100 at the end of December, but I only have 4 out of 5 days for the end of December. So I need to go 1,100 times 4 out of 5. And then again, that gets us total BC remuneration. Eligible remuneration is equal to my total remuneration as long as the person's salary is still under this maximum limit of 58,725. And so this person still is earning less than that because I've just given them $100 a week raise. Okay, I really hope that helps with an example for salary. Hourly is going to be much easier. I'm not going to take up your time and run through it here, but basically you'd list the employee's info, when they worked here, if they were employed for the full quarter. If they were not, you would put their first day worked in this box. And then hourly could just be as easy as, in that period, look at your timesheets. You're not going to have to do this funny prorated thing with hourly because you have the actual timesheets, you know for sure when they worked. The only reason we had to do that for salary was because they don't have the pay per day type of calculation. They have just like a pay per year or pay per period. So we had to prorate it for the days. So with an hourly person, let's say they worked in this 3 month, they worked 120 hours and their hourly, oh, I need to put an equals at the beginning of my formula, of course. 120 hours times, let's say they get $20 an hour. And then remember to include your vacation pay if you pay it out on each check. So most hourly employees will get paid their vacation on each check. And so it is part of the remuneration that you would include in this calculation. That's the same for Sue's as well. And this one will operate the same way. So 120 hours times $20 an hour times 1.04 for 4% vacation pay equals $24.96. And I'm definitely not over the max with this one. So let's say we did that. And then let's say this person was hired partway through the year, and that's, or partway through this quarter, I mean, and that's why we only had 120 hours. So now let's say on the next quarter, they worked 300 hours. So now they had equals 300 hours times $20 an hour times 1.04 for our 4% vacation pay now equals 62.40. And we know they're not over the maximum for that, so it's still 62.40. Now what we have is a difference here that we can actually use to get some money out of this subsidy. So we have, what's my sum here? 20,520 in this quarter, and in the quarter before, we have only 15,638. So that difference of the increase in the pay is what's going to get us this subsidy. So that all that calculation work you just did is going to get you some money back in your pocket. And it's 15% of the difference. So once you submit that, then you will get the money within 5 days by direct deposit. So thank you for listening to this video. I hope that it was helpful for you if you're searching for some information on how to calculate this BC increased employment incentive for British Columbia employers. And now that you've made it to the end, I want to take a quick second to tell you about Deximal Accounting Inc. and what we do for our clients. So I've been producing videos like this for about 2 years, and it's because I like to communicate accounting in, hopefully you will agree, a way that is understandable to business owners. If you are feeling like your accountant and your bookkeeper are not really providing you with this kind of information, they're not communicating with you in a way that you can understand, then that is something that I believe is a real strength of Deximal Accounting. We serve clients across Canada because all of our services are remote and 100% paperless. So that's a way that we're very different from a traditional accounting firm because we are not transferring any paperwork back and forth. This is how we have always done it, but it's unique that now with COVID, people are looking for contactless, people are looking for being able to do a Zoom meeting. They don't want to go in person and have a meeting at their accountant's office and bring a whole box of paperwork. So if you're a business owner and you're looking at using QuickBooks Online, we are experts in that software, and we use other apps as well to be able to provide an entirely paperless and really highly organized bookkeeping system for our clients. We do everything: GST, payroll, other provincial sales tax, records of employment, T4s, WorkSafe BC, We're going to take care of the bookkeeping for you, and we're going to support you with using QuickBooks Online and all of the great features that it has for your invoicing for your customers. We also do personal and corporate tax preparation, especially if you are a business that is incorporated and you're using QuickBooks Online for your books. I find a lot of accountants that are doing corporate taxes don't really know QuickBooks Online and they're not comfortable with it. And so they don't know how to look for any common errors. They don't know how to fix things in there. So they're just going to ask you for like an Excel or a PDF of the reports, and they may not even look at it in too much detail. I don't know. Of course, there's always going to be a range of service that you're going to get. But what I do is I get direct access to your QuickBooks Online so that I can look through it, see if I need to make corrections to the bookkeeping. And that's a way that I can do this for people across Canada because we don't have to be in the same location to be able to help you. So thank you for listening to my sales pitch. I'm sorry if it was too salesy. Definitely just contact me if you have any questions. I would love to show you a demo and talk to you more about our services. If you're looking for an accounting firm or bookkeeping firm, we do all of that for you. Thanks so much, everybody, and have a great day.
Deximal, your full-service accounting team. Anytime, anywhere.